Hey everybody! Thanks for tuning in. So I wanted to make this video to help you with the quiz 5.01, Maintaining Balance. A lot of people seem to struggle with it, so let's just go over the lesson a little bit, and then get to the quiz. I won't go over the quiz and give you the answers though, or maybe I will. All right, so let's go to modules for this week. We're in week 3 now, moving along. There was a pretest you were supposed to take to see your capabilities, see how well you know this stuff. And you're supposed to read the stuff in this link and then finally take the quiz here. So before we take the quiz, we're going to look at the material. And I read over it myself, and this online stuff's they really like upload a whole bunch of information to you, and they don't really explain it very well. So I just wanted to read through this and help you out a little bit, okay? So balancing act. Sweating, sleeping, breathing. These are just some of the ways the human body stays balanced. And balance is important. In fact, cells need it. 2. Get ready to explore some of the processes that help cells maintain their balance so the body works the way it should. Okay, so in the beginning, we're learning about balance. You can do guided notes, but I'm not going to fill those out. You can though, if you want to go ahead and follow along. I'm going to hit next. Remember, don't ever hit a home, okay? It takes you off somewhere weird. Okay, focus question. Homeostasis, okay? I've looked at the quizzes and that word shows up a lot. Okay, homeostasis, what is it? So what does an elephant need to walk across a tightrope? The answer is really good balance. Our bodies need balance too. In fact, all living things do. This is called homeostasis. It's the process of maintaining internal conditions at stable levels in spite of environmental changes. So what does this mean? Internal conditions at stable levels. Well, that means maintaining a temperature. We have a stable temperature of 98.6 degrees, and we have to keep it that way. Otherwise, if we don't, we'll overheat or we'll freeze in any type of cold or warm conditions. Even if it's slightly warm outside and we're not sweating, we could, if our body doesn't, maintain that temperature, we could overheat very easily. So here's an example of homeostasis at the body level. You run the bases and score a home run. This causes your internal body temperature to heat up. Your body sweats to cool your core temperature. The body has a lot of ways to maintain homeostasis. Your stomach growls to tell you when your body is low on fuel. You shiver and to warm yourself up when it's cold. An organism couldn't function properly without the ability to balance internal conditions. An imbalance could cause disease or even death. Just like a whole organism, like a human body, maintains homeostasis, so does an individual cell. Okay, so what this means is, this is also a quiz question. Humans maintain homeostasis with our body. We have to maintain that temperature. But also our individual cells at the cellular level need to do their thing in order for them to survive as well, our cells. And we'll get into that in a minute. Okay, metabolism, keeping cool and warm. Warm-blooded animals rely on hormones and metabolism. Metabolism is the ability to digest food to maintain homeostasis. But cold-blooded animals like snakes don't have such internal systems. So how do they maintain homeostasis? They use the environment to their advantage. Snakes use the sun's rays to warm their bodies. Heat from the sun also speeds up their metabolism. This is why snakes often bask in the sunlight. Snakes will also find shady spots or dig underground to avoid getting overheated. Snakes are less active during cold months because of their metabolism slows down. In winter, snakes can actually sleep for weeks without food. Okay? So metabolism is like the ability to digest food and to keep a warm temperature going. Humans are very good at that, but snakes are not. So they have to be out in the sun. Okay? You can answer these questions if you like. I'm just trying not to make this last too long. All right. How do cells use food to make energy and maintain homeostasis? So we heard about humans maintaining homeostasis with our body temperature. So how do their cells do it? Remember, cells are just those tiny, tiny little things. We can't see them we can't even see them. We have to have a microscope to look at our skin cells. Okay? So remember, they're the tiny things. So how do our cells keep themselves going? Okay? After all, it takes energy to do schoolwork, play sports, hang out with friends, snap selfies, and a lot of other things you do during the day. Well, you can thank the food you eat. Living things get energy from a process called cellular respiration. Big word, okay? Cellular respiration is the process by which organisms use oxygen to break down glucose and convert it to usable energy. So we'll get into that in a minute, but that's basically what our cells do. It's something called a mitochondria within our cell. Breaks down the glucose we eat from food, any type of food. There's sugar in it. That's what glucose is. We break it down, and then we do something. It turns it into something called ATP, which is energy, which makes us move. Okay? So just as I had just said, that's all pretty much what I just said right there. Okay? And I will draw something here in a minute, and I hope you like it. I can't really say you will, but... Alright. How do cells grow and reproduce to maintain homeostasis? Okay, so this was that one question on how do the cells do it. The human body is capable of amazing things, like getting bigger and growing new skin. Think about it. You've probably grown quite a bit since you were a baby, and you've never ever skinned your knee. And if you've ever skinned your knee, you know that after a few days, the damaged skin heals and is replaced by new skin. These things aren't magic. They're the result of cell division, also called mitosis. Cells reproduce so growth and repair can happen inside the body. The new cells can also build bone and muscle to help the body grow bigger and stronger. Cell division also helps maintain homeostasis by replacing cells that die or become damaged. Different types of cells have different lifespans. Skin cells live about 2 to 3 weeks, while red blood cells last about 4 months. Red blood cells are, you guessed it, are blood cells. Okay? Most brain cells last a lifetime, so take care of them. Okay? During cell division, one cell splits into 2 new cells. The new cells are genetically identical to the original cell, so they can replace damaged skin cells without worn out blood cells and more. Excuse me. So you have one cell that divides and makes a perfect copy of itself. Okay, and we do that in order to repair old skin cells. Our skin cells die all the time. Millions and millions a day. It's crazy how many skin cells die. And if you ever think about dust is our skin cell. Well, a lot of part of dust is our skin cells. So it's kind of gross if you think about it. All right. How does removing waste help maintain homeostasis? Lots of things come into your house, like groceries, mail, and shopping bags. Some of that winds up as trash after it's used. What would happen if you never took that trash out of your home? After a while, there would be piles of paper and junk mail everywhere. The smell of rotten food would hover in the air. That's not a pretty picture. Cells bring food, water, and other molecules in through the cell membrane. As the cell couldn't eliminate waste, and if the cell couldn't eliminate waste, a similar toxic environment would be created. Elimination of waste through the cell membrane helps the cell maintain homeostasis. Excuse me. All right, so we have our cells and we have the cell membrane, which is something that's on the outside of the cell, and that's responsible for letting in good stuff for the cell and letting bad stuff out of the cell. Otherwise, the trash would keep piling up, like it's showing on here, and the cell would get sick and die, pretty much. Okay. So let's see what we've learned. Which term best represents homeostasis? Balance. Okay, remember, balance as terms of balancing our temperature, make sure everything's working as it should. So it means balance. Okay. Which term best represent? Same one. Which process creates new cells from existing cells? Well, we learned that's what cell division is. It's one cell into two. Okay. Which process uses the sun, carbon dioxide, and water to create energy? Sun, carbon dioxide, and water to create energy. Now, I think they only mentioned it really quickly, but that's photosynthesis. That's what plants do. They use the carbon dioxide we breathe out, the sun, and water from the ground to do something called photosynthesis, and that's how they stay alive and do homeostasis. Okay. Which process uses oxygen to break down glucose and make energy? Well, remember I said that we need to break down sugars that we eat from food, from within our mitochondria and our cells. So, and that was called, remember I said big word, cellular respiration. Okay. Which cell structure allows waste to pass through and leave the cell? Well, we said that was the cell membrane. It's like the cop, and it says you can't go in, you're too bad for the cell, but you can go, you can leave out. That's what the cell membrane does. Okay, so hopefully you followed those along with me and did great. Okay. And then finally there's a summary of guided notes if you wanted to, and then you take ultimately the quiz, which went up ahead. You had to hit this one for the quiz down here at the bottom. Let's get my face out of the way. Oh, there we go. Next. And you would take your quiz. See, there's that word homeostasis. What's an example of maintaining homeostasis? It was shivering. And that's true. Which process turns glucose into energy? That was cellular respiration. Why is photosynthesis essential for plant homeostasis? Because it removes carbon dioxide from, at least it makes food for the plant. Okay, that's how plants stay alive. How are cellular respiration? How are they similar? They both. This one was a little hard. They both produce waste. Okay, because we breathe out carbon dioxide, and photosynthesis breathes out oxygen when it's done. How does the process of cellular respiration create energy? Let's see. The mitochondria uses oxygen to break down glucose and convert it to ATP. Yeah, that one was tough. See, this quiz is tough. So you have to know those big words. What ATP is, that means energy. Our mitochondria break down and convert it into energy. Okay? And that would have been 100 on that quiz. Okay? So I want to show you something else. Just a drawing that I wanted to do. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, see if I can get that out. Oh, okay. First, let's talk about homeostasis. All right, and we know that means balance, right? Oh, it's kind of hard drawing on this. Okay. So that means balance within internal temperature. Whoop. Like snakes need to, in order to have their homeostasis, they got to sit in the sun, as we've all learned that. Okay. So what? All right, so let's talk about photosynthesis for a little bit. Let me click on green. Let's do a plant. First, let me write up at the top. Photosynthesis. Oh my goodness sake. Okay. H-E-S-I-S. Photosynthesis. And what it is, I want you to try and visualize a P, and it has to do with plants. Photosynthesis deals with plants, okay? So let's do a leaf and show what comes in, what goes out for photosynthesis. So let's do this. We got the sun. Remember it said sun? Okay. What else? Do you remember? What else does a plant need? It's blue. Okay. Water. So sun, water, and something else that we breathe out. Does anyone remember what that is? What do we breathe out? It's a type of gas. Okay. Carbon dioxide. It's a gas. So I'm going to do something like that for a gas. So in order for a plant to do its homeostasis or photosynthesis, it needs to take in carbon dioxide, water, and sun. Okay? And it just doesn't take stuff in. It needs to get rid of waste. And if you remember, the waste that plants give off, it's a waste gas for them, and it's good for us, but it's bad for them. It's actually oxygen is a waste. Plants don't want it. Okay, there goes oxygen, and I'll do that because it's a gas. So oxygen comes out. Okay, they're waste. Okay, and they're also making glucose for themselves during all this. That special word, glucose. G-L-U-C-O-S-E. Glucose or sugar. Okay. We won't eat plant leaves, but we do eat corn or, tomatoes. Anything a plant makes, we can eat. Anything that's edible, we can eat. So we eat those sugars and we breathe this oxygen. Okay, that's how we benefit from plants. We take in the oxygen and we take in the glucose and the sugar. Okay? And that's what we call cellular respiration. So let's get to that. Let's clear this. I want to do it in red because it's kind of opposite of photosynthesis. Cellular respiration. Okay. And in this case, we have oxygen from the plant. Okay, remember we breathe oxygen coming in, and we have glucose coming in. And then let's have a person eating these things. Okay. Just to show my terrible drawing. Okay. So we've taken oxygen and glucose, and then we breathe out carbon dioxide. Okay, so oxygen, glucose comes in, and that's how we also ultimately get our energy, ATP, energy from those things. Okay, that's how we move. This is how our cells can get its energy as well. Okay, and this happens in the mitochondria, which is something inside of a cell. Okay, so hopefully that didn't confuse you that much. I hope I made it a little bit easier. All right. Let's do a fun one now. One of these fun ones. Okay. So I just want to thank you for watching. Thank you. I just learned this drawing tablet thing. And I hope to see you watching some of my other videos going through the lesson. I might not read as much next time, but we'll see what the kids are saying. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in and saying hello, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.